Okay, I'm going to get started here. Danielle, just you and I in here on time. It's the summer crowd, huh? Everybody's at the beach. Wednesday, August, he said, 13th of 2025. This is the Profitable Real Estate Agent Plan. And what I've done tonight is I put up on the board, and you should be seeing it. Danielle, you can tell me. I know you're in your car or wherever you are. I put the model up on the board today because as I wait for people to trickle in, I like to pay attention to the model because I am very visual. And one of the most important things about a business is seeing it simply and seeing it visually in your head to understand that when we teach you this course, we are teaching you a strategic approach to building and then running a profitable real estate agent business, period. I mean, it's really just that simple. So I think what's most important about that is you understand that if you don't take a strategic approach first and you just go down to tactics, like for example, just going out and buying some internet leads, just going out and trying and winging it at an open house, or, begging somebody for their listing, whatever it might be, those are all tactics and they can go sideways fast and it can spin you out of the business very quickly. And I came to realize that over time, as somebody who fashioned himself, a thinker, had a background in economics in school. So really started to give this some thought and said, we need a model. We need a business model. We need a business plan. But business planning can sound very heavy. It can feel like a lot of work. You say, I just want to make some money. So what I've done is created a model that we can understand quickly so we can get to the right tactics quickly. Okay, so that's what this is. It's a very simple course, 12 steps. You go through the strategies and we get into tactics. Tonight is one of those nights, especially because this is an extremely pivotal moment when it comes to strategic marketing. So what we've done in this course is we've slowed you down and we started with a strategic business vision. And I'm going to switch over in a second to show you the breakdown of strategic business vision and strategic, I can't say it tonight, strategic leadership vision. That means how does the business work and who are you that you have to become to run that business correctly. And then we can get into strategic marketing on how we're going to make those things happen. So in the first couple of weeks in this course, we talk about the business. I'll go show you that now. Hang on one second. Let me just show you. I have to change what I'm showing. So bear with me. I will remove this. Sorry, I have to do this in two places each time. So I'm going to give you the topics, but I wanted you to see the model first so that we can get into it. So you should be seeing, that's the Zoom app, and we'll put it up here, the course, because this is what this looks like in writing. So let me remove that. We will grab another window and we will have our course curriculum. Yep. Yeah, you're going to see me. I cut and pasted up here. So I'll give you the whole thing where I kind of am going through down the bottom and I haven't really made like that's a little bit what it looks like, Grant. So you know what? Let me see if I have one. Bear with me for a second. I will, because you asked, I will pause, make a new document with just the top piece of it. So let's put that in here. Because I don't want people to get confused. I'm actually explaining it now what it is, but I'll come back to it in a second here. Restricted, anyone link. Okay. For your viewing pleasure, my friend, this will go into the Zoom chat right now. And Danielle, have you not seen something on the screen? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, no sweat. I am, I was, so I don't know if it wasn't showing. Those of you that are on YouTube, when you watch this recording too, there's that document, which is, that is the curriculum, okay? And that's the curriculum for the strategic business plan. This is how stupid simple I've made this, okay? So it's really, really important to understand. I think that business model, that picture that hopefully you did see up there, and you should have it anyway. I'll hold it in my hands here too, because I never have it far from me. It's this. You should all have a copy of that. Okay. So that is what I drew it out to be, but here it is on the screen in about 12 steps. And so those are the strategies. So what you'll notice on the infographic that I have is the word strategic, 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 strategic. Yes, I do talk about entrepreneur, manager, technician, and some of the stuff is more technical, but from a strategy standpoint, I'm framing it for you. I'm telling you, if Michael Gerber were here, that's his model, by the way, that's his framework. And I showed this to him when I met him at 80 years old, ripe and feisty. And I showed it to him. And I said, listen, I kept your model here and it really works. And well, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. And so the idea is in his book, he says, how does the real estate agent business really work? I'm plugging in real estate agent business. He really says it for all small businesses. How does the business really work? So when you're looking at that, you realize it works for the acquisition of listings that go into an MLS. That's our business. And so the business model is designed to be profitable, to make you profitable in that context, right? And then the next week, we get into this idea of a financial goal because it is a business. So we set this goal. Then we get into this mindset of who you have to become. So the first 3 weeks are all about vision. It's what it's all about. Like, what's the vision for this thing? People love to give that lip service. I actually put it up here, right? Is that we have these 3 moments of vision. Last week, we finally got down into more of the management stuff. So we've got the visionary stuff in the first phase of this course. Then we get into the management phase of a strategic marketing plan where the engine begins to go, right? Because we have this, we have an understanding of a business model. We have an understanding that it is the acquisition of listings at or above the median, that we have this vision for that business. And then that we have to become this person who's strategically trying to get these new listings. That's it. It's all visionary. So you come down into content last week where I started to tease the basics of content, because content marketing is really core and fundamental. So people confuse this social media concept when the truth is it's content. You're trying to market content. So before you even start talking about leads and listings and buyers, before that, you have to say, well, what content is core, is fundamental to the real estate agent business? And that's why we talked about last week, we talked about especially the market update. How can you position yourself as a leader in a business to acquire listings and you can't specifically answer how's the market? You can't do it. You can't tell people the average price is this. You can't tell them the median's this. You can't tell them it's X number of days on the market, etc. You don't even have a basic understanding of the business. So we start with that piece of content and say, well, let's solve that. That's not rocket science. Every single MLS in these days with ChatGPT and its access to data, you should be able to come up with the answers to some basic questions about how's the market in an instant. There's zero excuses to create that piece of content, right? So we talked about that. And then I shifted over into how to sell a house. What are some of the basics of selling a house? You want to talk about a real estate market, but you also have to know the specifics on how to sell a house and how to help somebody buy a house. You need to know those specifics. Those are tip series. So what's crazy about this business is we go to a brokerage and nobody even teaches us that, because nobody thinks like that. Everybody thinks about the tactics. They don't think strategically. Are there steps that I would go through to sell a house for somebody? Are there steps that I would guide somebody through in the process of buying? Of course there are. And they're immutable. They're unbreakable. I mean, you can argue the titles and the subtitles, but it's pretty much the same process everywhere, anytime, anywhere, right? No matter what's going on with the marketplace. So we have these fundamental types of content that we have to master. Then there, of course, the obvious content in addition to how's the market, what's the seller plan, what's the buyer plan. Of course, there's the in-the-moment content about properties that sold. They help the seller and they help the buyer see what is the market really valuing, right? So we have these 3 major pieces of content that we talk about, but we don't talk about social media until we talk about content. So we then go to social media saying, oh, it's the content that I can talk about on social media platforms. And we just beat that to death last week, right? So it's really important to understand that as it dovetails into an understanding of strategic marketing. So you have 3 core pieces of content in our business that aren't rocket science, but you want to be aware of and you want to master. I will repeat them. How's the market with the data? What's the seller and buyer plan for getting through the process, especially the seller in this course? And what is the real, really the content in the MLS? What's selling? And for how much? And what did it buy? So we have these three major chunks of content. So that brings us into the development of what you would call a unique selling proposition. And this is a very hard concept at first to get, because I'm admitting it was hard for me to say, well, in our business, strategically thinking first, how am I going to be different from everybody else? Don't we do all the same things? Didn't I just say the data for the market's all the same for all of us? Didn't I just say there's immutable steps to selling and buying? Didn't I say we all have access through MLS to what's sold? How can I make myself different in a world where we have all of that? Well, it turns out nobody does any thinking. And I mean nobody. Absolute statement, little tongue in cheek. Of course, we're sitting here doing the thinking. And of course, some people do, but nobody really elevates the thinking. What could I do uniquely with that information? And that was where the light bulb went off for me. What could I do uniquely with the universally available information? I'll say it slowly again. What could I and you do uniquely with the universal, all the same type of information so that we could look unique in our approach? Well, if you back away, I'm going to get into this now. If you back away from this a little bit more and you really begin to focus on this, watch how the discussion of unique selling proposition, dovetailing off of the last call about content marketing, watch how it becomes unbelievably obvious where all of us should start. And it turns out to be wildly unique. Okay. So let's get into this. Why should they do business with you? So this is a very, oops, why is that showing like that? Let's see what it does. Okay. This is a very quick presentation here tonight. Very quick, because it's more going to be about me showing you the content as organized. And I will get very tactical with you tonight. It's a reward for coming here live. We get very tactical. I'll get into scripting on how to talk about unique selling propositions a little bit, because I have a whole other course on that. Another thing, but I want you to understand how this is coming together week by week. Okay. But a fundamental understanding of strategic marketing vis-a-vis the term unique selling proposition is a critical foundation first. Okay. So the concept of unique selling proposition was first introduced in 1940, it was a long time ago, by advertising executive Rosser Reeves. And I will show you Rosser at the end of this. Rosser was an ad executive. Think the, I think it's Netflix or HBO, I can't remember. Mad Men. Think the show Mad Men, okay? Mad Men was a story about all of the Madison Avenue ad executives, right? Back in the day. And they were all down on Madison Avenue, New York, writing all this advertising and marketing. So there's a lot of thinking going on strategically about how to do things tactically. So Reeves worked for a company called Ted Bates and Company, and they came up with this concept of a unique selling proposition. And so really, it was a USP was one thing that sets a product or service. Now, this is key for us because we're not talking about a product. You get some really famous advertising around Marlboro cigarettes, the Marlboro Man, and on and on. I could go. You could go Google it and watch some amazing history in strategic marketing. But for us, it's the word service because we're in a service, right? So again, how can we go through a service and be unique? And that's where we start to lose ourselves to virtue signaling. Why should I do business with you? Well, because I have integrity and I'm hardworking. It's not what's in it for the consumer. And that's not what's unique at all, because good people tend to have those virtues. So you're not really unique at all. So you can't do that. But it's amazing to me over the years how many people have said that to me. Amazing, right? It's a default because it's an uneducated answer. You will be educated tonight. So we have to stand out now. So we have this dilemma, right? We have this powerful word in unique. We'd all love to be that. And we are individualistically, we are. And that does play a role who we are individualistically. Even if we have the same information, there's always that uniqueness in our delivery. and how we are met. So there's a lot of complication in that, and never to be duplicated. You are unique. So if we can take some universality and do something with it, it's going to be you actually that presents it uniquely. Keep that in mind, okay? But we're going to stand out because of that. So according to Reeves, a strong USP should be unique, specific, meaningful, and memorable. Those are powerful words. So it's not just unique, specifics. Go back to last week, what I said there. It's the meaningful specifics. I'm going to show that to you tonight. The meaningful specifics of a one-page statistical market update. Meaningful, right? Specific. And I always go to quote the great late Zig Ziglar, who I saw speak in the Boston Garden back way when, right? When he was still alive, obviously. And he gave a speech and he said, why be a wandering generality when you could be a meaningful specific? I never forgot it. And well, doesn't it turn up here in a discussion of unique selling propositions as it relates to Rosser Reeves, who was definitely a predecessor to Zig and many others. But you see these universal concepts continuously threading their way into everything. So that's the great part of education. It's a slow process of discovery to say, wow, there's some universal concepts that must work if they're universally all over the place. So this idea of meaningful specifics, very powerful to me, right? Next, today the concept of USP remains an important part of marketing and branding. And I would tell you, a lot of people come to me, I've got to get my name out there, they say, right? Including some of my agents. And I hired a social media marketing person. Okay, I'll just take a breath. Here I am, your broker hiding in plain sight. Here I am. Go for it. But you want my help? I'll stop for a second and I'll just ask you, what do you expect out of that? What kind of content are you going to put up there? And when you get your name out there, to whom? And what's it going to do? So when you ask these simple, basic questions of people, it's like a pattern interrupt, because what we're doing is we're sheepling our way along, right? We just act like sheeple. All of a sudden, we're just doing what everybody else is doing because we think that's what we're supposed to do, and nobody educates themselves. So marketing and branding really come over time. And it's just it turns out it's a pattern of behaving a certain way over a long period of time that begins to create a feeling for what your brand is. But then again, every day somebody wakes up, they don't know who I am. I've got a sign down here in one of the busiest streets, in Osterville Village, where I'd love to get more and more and more and more business. And people say, oh, that know me. Oh, I didn't know your office was your office. My sign's right out the window. I could show it to you. So this is a way of behaving all the time, never expecting that you're landed, never expecting that your brand has penetrated, never expecting that your strategic marketing is in there. It's just we're trying to develop a way of behaving professionally forever until we quit the business or sell it, period, right? So now companies seek out and promote their unique selling propositions as a way to differentiate themselves from competitors and capture the attention of consumers. Now, this becomes a really big thing for all of my young Griffin agents who are brand new to the business. You're new to the world of business in general. You get intimidated. You see these companies and you see these agents that you perceive to be successful. Well, it turns out, if you listen to me, and Annabelle has done that, Luke has done that, and some of the newcomers are doing that, the people that have listened to me at a very young age, and of course, all of my coaching clients that have been in this endeavor with me, we have not had a problem differentiating ourselves from our consumers, our competitors. We have not had a problem. It doesn't mean we win everyone because we've discovered this methodology. It just means that we can compete anytime, anywhere, any place, regardless of our resume. Because a lot of you would look at me, well, whoa, it's you. Yeah, it was about 5-6 years ago. Grant will tell you, I was selling $300,000 properties. The idea of a $3 million, listing would have been a one-off event, right? And then it became a regularity. We expected of ourselves. Why? Because once we got into this unique selling proposition way of doing business, we realized, oh, That's how you initiate a conversation with somebody at or above the median price, even when they don't know you. That's how you do it. There's a way. Now, again, like anybody, you don't win them all. You might not even win a lot of them, but you win enough of them when you understand how to present yourself as unique, right? So that's the basis for what a unique selling proposition is. But now what I'm going to do is stop sharing the screen, and I'm going to get very hands-on here and show you. Let me just make sure this is happening. I'm going to show you these unique selling propositions, okay? So we're going to go through these. So I'm going to pull together. Now, this is exactly what I do. I was in a listing with my brother this morning, and I made sure he had this exact unique selling proposition information with him. Otherwise, I wasn't going with him, period. And this is the way we do it here, says McDonald's, right? So the most important part of this is to understand. I'm going to go back and I'm going to repeat. The core content for any real estate agent, and a lot of people just do this, but they wing it and they don't organize it. Step one in becoming unique, okay? Let that sink in. We all have access to data about how's the market. We all, as MLS members, and now I said you can just go get it off ChatGPT, but MLS accumulates incredible amounts of data for us as paying members, or ChatGPT to the general public. Next, how do you sell a house and how do you buy a house? Why that's not taught at every single brokerage across the country and in classes is mind-boggling to me. And I'm not sure most people actually know what the order of things is. They just do it, okay? Next is the actual MLS data of the properties that are for sale and have sold, but especially the ones that have sold. 1, 2, 3 pieces. Remember those. Every real estate agent has access to them. So that's what makes us all the same, and though there's no unique differentiation. However, what I realized from strategic marketers that I studied, especially in the mid-2000s, first decade, 2005, I started really studying a lot of the online marketers who were basically the pick and shovel salespeople of the modern day. They were teaching people how to get rich on the, online. So they were there, but they were very smart because what they were doing was using very old strategic marketing techniques that if you went back to the 40s, when all the ad people were there, it was very, very a regular occurrence to offer a free sample. Back then, I remember as a kid, you could send a prepaid envelope to a record club and they would send you the first batch of records. And then, of course, you were hooked and then you started paying for records. And there were many other things you could mail away for and get a free sample, right? Now you move into the internet age and a lot of service people, meaning I'm going to take you through and teach you how to do something, right? That's what I'm going to do. And it hit me. Well, that's it. Give away your best what to do information for free. That's what all these internet marketers are doing. They're not giving away a free sample per se, although Chris Anderson wrote a book called Free, I think almost in 2000. It was really early. And so although software companies used the model too, so the internet age took old strategic marketing techniques and they gave away a free sample. To this day, I think one of my clients at EXP has a free version of one of their softwares, KV Core. But yet you can't see any of the statistics when you send out an email to see who opened it. Did anybody, right? So that's the upgrade. So you see the model was alive and well. Give them something for free. Let them get some benefit out of that so that they'll step into the paid version. So how do we do that? How do we do that? Well, what if we went back to the core content and we thought as a group, well, if I'm going to go in and list a house, let's stay with listings. If I'm going to go and list a house, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into that house and I'm going to do a walkthrough, look at what the condition is. I'm going to sit down at the dining room table. I'm going to make sure there's a real why they want to sell it. And then I'm going to go through my plan. You say, okay, to sell this, I will do this, 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 and this, and this. And for me, there's 7 steps and it's all written out. So if they want to read the booklet, they can. If they want to just go through an infographic with me, we can keep it simple. But this is how I'm going to do it here. And here's how the market's doing right now. Here's all the statistics, just so you know, so you're not nervous. Average price is still strong. You're selling your house. Okay. Here's where it's at. And here's what's sold around you. Okay. Here's what's sold around you. Now I would stop right there because that's just information. All three pieces of that: content, information. So I thought to myself, we're in a very physical business. We're not in the digital business. So it doesn't translate exactly to copy these digital marketers, because I tried that. I tried offering all this information digitally online. Nobody really cares about much of anything anymore. So they were slow to take it. So I said, okay, we're still kinesthetic human beings. Everybody's rushing to the internet. I'm going the other way. I'm going the road less traveled, said Robert Frost, my favorite poet, right? I'm going that way. The path that's not beaten down is a little scraggly looking, because I still say that's where humans like to travel. They like to be kinesthetic. They like to be physical. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all that information. I'm going to print it. I know, right? Can you imagine printing information became a unique thing? Not the proposition yet, but it just became a unique thing to print it. So I did. So I took the content and I made a sample package like this. But remember, I stopped short. You haven't heard me talk about my insight yet. Hang on to that. Hang on to that. Okay. So what I did was, and I'll show you this. Let's start with the meaningful specifics. Thank you, Zig Ziglar. God rest your soul. This, my friends, is a unique selling proposition way of answering the question, how's the market? Loaded with meaningful specifics, no wandering generalities, really extremely specific data. Top 10 sales for some sex appeal and so some fun. Average price, median price. We understand those from elementary school. Everybody talks about inventory because that's what you hear on TV all the time. So we have an inventory number. Price per square foot, as if we're selling flour. They love that one too. Days on market tells you how long it takes. The interest rate, everybody's obsessed with. And then a couple inventory numbers. Voila. One page, once a month updated, all data out of the marketplace. Remember the strategic business vision? How's the business really work? Well, there's a multiple listing service. Listings go in there. And guess what it creates? Data. And here's the data. And so we measure that data once a month, because once a month is enough time to change something. So it's statistically interesting in that change period, right? And by the way, Wall Street, where I had a short career, reports this way, month to month, then of course, quarter to quarter, etc. I won't get complicated here. I just want you to look at how stupid simple this is. It's productized, folks. Okay. I curated it, meaning I went into the MLS and pulled the data like a curator of a museum. They go around town looking for artists and they curate some of the paintings. And then I productized it. Okay. That's what I did. So I created a product. That's one piece. Next, you know, all those pictures and details. Hey, guys, can you mute me? Somebody's talking. Shoot. Hang on, guys. You got to mute me if you're going to talk. Oh, Grant, sinner. Look at him, Shauna. We caught him. Grant, you can't talk during one of these things. I was on a roll. Oh, no. It's the boss. Hi, boss. That is the only exception to the rule. Peace. You are the only exception to the rule. Not daddy, just you. Man, you're getting old, huh? I know. Yeah. Well, much prettier, Grant. Yeah. Much. So the next piece of this, so again, one, how's the market? By the way, I pulled that up first now because you'll see when I talk about the stuff over time how pivotal this is, and it permeates a lot of what I teach you. The next thing is the stuff you already signed up for and you paid for, and you look at it online, but you never take the time to print it out with a pretty, a pretty map. Where is, oops, I got a bright light there. A pretty map. Where is all this stuff that you're about to show me? What do the pictures and details look like? What did the broker say to brag about it? And most importantly, what did the money buy? What is that sold price, right? So we printed those. So now I've got two pieces. This is getting fun, right? It's getting valuable, by the way. It's getting valuable. Let this sink in. It's getting valuable. There's value to this. Everybody hearing me? Linger on that. Then, but if I really want to be a good guy, I'll tell you exactly how to sell a house. Okay. So I'm going to sit down at Starbucks and I'm going to write down, if I come into your house and sell it, I'm going through these steps. Okay. And I'm going to tell you without me what to do. So here, my friends, is the ultimate what to do. So what to do. I know you're worried though. Now might not be the time. So here's the market updates. And you might not know what's going on around you, but you're guessing. Don't guess. Here's what really happened. Here, have it for free. This is absolutely my best stuff for free. And it's a product now. This is called, my friends, an information product. Now, if I went back to all of those folks that I'm thankful for that were online giving away their best what to do information for free, I appreciate them for that because they gave a digital information product. I made mine into physical. And it's changed my business life forever, period. And I mean that heavily. I will jump up and down on that soapbox heavily. But then I'm figuring, well, what the heck? If I have to drop this off, this could be confusing, right? And that's a lot of value. Shauna's new thing with me, she laughs when I start hitting all my valuable things, right? So it's value. If I drop this on a table, it has weight to it. It's a true information product. I mean, imagine I stopped in LaGuardia Airport on the way home. I had finished my book. And so I saw this Newsweek magazine. I think I spent $14 on a Newsweek magazine because it was a really good article in there that I wanted to read, right? So if a magazine is valuable to me because I'm curious about a subject, how valuable is something like this to somebody who's thinking about selling their $500,000, million, $2 million home? How valuable is this? Extremely. It blows away a $14 magazine, blows it away if you really understand what it is. But in that case, because that product is a little bit more sophisticated, maybe I ought to write what I would tell them is in this and how to consume it and what to do next, a call to action. And suddenly, if you take all of that and you put it in here, I'm going to have you argue that this isn't unique. Tell me it's not. Tell me you see this everywhere. Tell me you hear your competitors doing the same thing as I just showed you. Tell me. Show me. And if you can, bring them in here. I'll give them free coaching personally for a month. You know why? I would do it, by the way, but you won't find them. You won't. I have handed this to friends of mine that are competitors who were stressed out about their business and said, listen, just organize stuff like this. Gave it to them, right over their heads. Because nobody spends any time thinking anymore. We just want to go take something. We want to take a check out of somebody's pocket without thinking through this, right? So that became a unique selling proposition by just productizing the things that are most important to a seller consumer. And of course, the buyer package is right there next to it. It has all the same components except the buyer plan, right? So it has the pictures and details of properties it's sold so the buyer can see what the money's buying. I know you all think, well, what about for sales? For yep, we put those in there too, but solds. We want to begin to be insightful and informational in a positive way for somebody. Find out what the money's buying before you go spend your money. Don't go looking at asking prices that could be overpriced. Get a value, get a sense of value. So we created burgers and fries. Because if you go back to our mentor in the strategic model, it's all strategic. And Michael Gerber's book is all frameworked out around a McDonald's franchise concept. So what is this? Burgers and fries. That's all we do here. That's all we do. And it turns out that just like burgers and fries, which anybody can make, McDonald's does them wildly differently from Wendy's, from, right, Burger King. It turns out in a place where things are sameness, you can do it differently. And this is what we're doing here. We're doing it differently. We're providing the content in an informational way, informational product way that makes us unique. And you know what to expect. And all we do is keep beating on this data, this information to make it cleaner, better, simpler. In fact, now that I finished my newsletter, my next project sitting right next to me is an evolution of the buyer plan and the seller plan to look better, to articulate more clearly, simply, So all we have to do is keep working on our burgers and fries. We don't have to wake up someday and say, oh my gosh, what a great idea. Shiny object. Grant will plead guilty to this because I'll make him. Yep. He saw every shiny object before you all did, right? Every one of them. And I would have to stop him from doing that. And now we understand what took us from 300 to being able to talk to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, right? Was that information productized. And by the way, it turns out that when you focus on giving that kind of information to people who own a property at or above the median, now, again, this sounds a little ugly, right? They tend to be more educated and can afford a more expensive house. And if you really start to creep up higher, 1.5 million, 2.5 million, they love it when it's the right avatar, which we'll talk about, in subsequent weeks. They love it because they're professionals. I have a client, and I'm going to tell you how this works. I have a client that I met, and I treated them with all this professional information. She bought one of my listings. She then let me sell her listing in Boston, and she's got an 800-pound brain. Like, she is an MIT undergrad and a Harvard grad. And she loves this stuff so much. And by the way, with our past clients, that newsletter, remember I said it would permeate everything else? We'll get to that at the end of this course. She just got my hand printed, or my printed version of my newsletter, which I send quarterly. Hey, by the way, now she's telling me this off of, we had a little crisis with a friend of mine. She had a physical ailment, and she was told to go to Boston to get it looked at. So I made one phone call to this gal. Within a week, she was with the right surgeons and the right people. Within a week. So I checked in. We talked to each other about it. She goes, oh, by the way, I really enjoyed reading your latest market update, right? So this is somebody who's extremely wealthy, extremely bright, and they love this stuff. And it's not complicated. It's just not. So the only thing that she's talking about is I add my opinion. Can you believe that? I have an opinion, Grant, right? I look at the data and I just give an opinion of what I think it says. And that's what begins to set us up for what? Client level service. If I give you some information, I can pull you from lead to prospect. First of all, if I just offer it to you, then I can ask you properly. Hey, I'd like to give you pictures and details of properties that sold around yours straight from MLS, right? Just like realtors, a one-page statistical market update to show you the exact direction of current market pricing. And as a bonus, a copy of my 7-step plan that I customize for my clients. May I give that to you? So there's the base introduction to the package. By the way, why are you thinking about selling? Well, unfortunately, I just lost my spouse. I need to move ASAP. I'm sorry to hear that. On a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to sell it? I'm an 11. Okay. Well, in that case, what I could do is I could bring this information with me. And while I'm there, here we go with the insight. See, I'll give you some insight for free, but once I give that insight to you and you want to sell, aren't you going to want to hire me? You got information, you got insight, you got all this value stacked for free. Not only is it a unique thing that you're receiving, it's like overwhelmingly competitive. Remember when we talked about a unique selling standpoint? Do you want to stand out? Well, imagine giving a 5-stack of information for free, 3 pieces of information, 2 pieces of insight, tips on what to do and what not to do, and an analysis of those properties that sold to include a net sheet so you see what you walk away with. We just did it this morning for an accountant. And he was so relaxed quickly with us to see the professional approach that we then talked about the Celtics after that. And he got up and vigorously shook our hands. He came highly recommended. This is great. It's a stunning, stunning thing when you get a unique selling proposition vibe like that. And it just like, you just hit that perfect sort of relationship, that I would say relationship building. That's why I slowed myself down. It's amazing how empowered you feel coming out of there helping somebody like that, and they have that kind of reaction. That's why I give you a lead to a prospect today, and then a client reaction. All right, enough of me, he said. let me go into some conversation with you all. And what I would say to you is that remember, these calls are always open for any kind of questions about the business. For those of you that show up live, I think we've got somebody out there on YouTube tonight. Feel free to type something in there. I'll look at the StreamYard too, and I'm happy to answer any questions over there as well. Okay. Fire away. What do we have tonight? Anything from me? Don't make don't make it easy on me. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, one of the things that, obviously I'm aware that you want to build your book too. So we need to immediately crash into that self-image development thing, which is really, that's the third week in this course that becomes very important. It's the confidence to understand that this is information delivery, and the fact you have to believe, and you've been around this a long time. So, but you created a persona of being an assistant versus an empowered person in a process with him, which is what it took me a long time I wouldn't say it took me a long time. I think Laura has always been keen on self-improvement. She's always been into energy work and keen on it. And if you don't know what the reference to Laura is 19 years with me. In a lot of capacities, but my personal client care management, which means we work our files together, right? So I've empowered. Yeah, yeah, awesome. And I've empowered Laura to believe that she's saying it based on this information. So why would we ever water ourselves down? Even if she doesn't know, I have to defer to Danny, my partner, or you know what I mean? That's okay. I mean, everybody runs out of tarmac, including me. And she's, I don't know. That's a good question. Let me go check it out. Then I go to Chat GPT and have a conversation, right? But the point being is that the easiest answer that I came up with for all of you is, why should I do business with you, Shauna, above and beyond all other options, including doing nothing at all? And your answer would be, because, which is a trigger word out of Cialdini's book, so they're paying attention. I have a plan. Well, doesn't everybody have a plan, Shauna? I can't speak for everybody, but I have a plan. And that plan begins with me giving you an information product package that's unique to your situation, which will include pictures and details of properties that sold around you or straight from MLS, just like I would see as a realtor, a one-page statistical data sheet that we update every month so you can see the exact direction of current market pricing. And as a bonus, I have our general 7-step plan that we actually customize for clients. I'd like to give that all to you to show you a sample of this plan. That's it. You're just missing the front end piece. No, no, you're dead. You're dead. I'll tell you what it is. Hang on. Don't go past it yet. Hold on. You gave me a really good piece. Okay. You went in and fought as a comparison. You said the word better. You can't give a better what? A better opinion of value? Defend it. Well, go ahead. I'm pattern interrupting you. I'm grabbing the word, which is it's a tripping point, not tip. Why do you say better? No, I'm asking. I'm playing devil's advocate. Why do you say that? Defend it to me right now? Let's role play. Defend it. Okay. Okay. You're telling me nobody else can do that? Okay. Because you know why? What do? When we go to compete, we default to the way we think the world works. We never do this kind of work here. I've dedicated a massive amount of my life to studying how business works, a massive amount. And it turns out you are right. There are people that were way better than, scary, way better, scary that they would use these other people. But why do we think we're supposed to compete that way by degrading somebody else? And we're generically degrading other people. We're not even saying a person's name. Sometimes we do. Well, I meet with Sally. Well, Sally doesn't, and Sally, what? You just have to come back to being confident in what you do and say, listen, I didn't come here to talk about Sally. I came here to talk about you. And I came here to provide you with some information to empower you as the seller to make the best decisions to hopefully get top dollar. Okay. I can't speak to resume. You're right. Sally's had a 25-year resume in this area. Great. If that's most important to you, go with Sally. But in the meantime, would you humor me and let me get through my stuff, please? It's that detachment from the outcome. We're so damn attached to the outcome. We can't stop taking. We do better is a take. It's not a give. It's a take. And we can't unwind that in our heads. We just default. We just get so defensive. But I have integrity more than Peggy, more than Sally, right? We can't. It's a competitive animalistic nature that is a lower level of thinking. It's a lower emotional quotient, in fact. It's also an intellectual insecurity because you don't know better and you do. So yours is more psychologically, you're stuck in a framework of desperation, but more so personal insecurity from a professional standpoint. I don't mean you. I'm not making a value judgment on you or anybody, but it's a professional insecurity we have because we're understudied, right? But if you training, why do I do so many of these calls? I get 8 people in the middle of a Wednesday night when I'd rather be eating a steak. You know what I mean? It's my obsession to repeat the basics to help you all and anybody that will listen, because it's what I do. And I make money doing this for a very long time. My resume hides in plain sight. And it's, you can see me as the crash test dummy. I'm like the guy inside the plastic bubble. I'm the guy in there testing, crashing, breaking, doing, and it's working. And so I'm no different from you because you don't know me when I did $300,000 properties and I said the same thing. I'm the volume guy. I'm all those guys over in Osterville. I'm the volume guy. And I painted myself so tightly in that corner till one day it came like the recession. And I realized the volume guy gets his teeth knocked out. And guess what happens in a recession to wealthy people? Amen, sister. You took those 2 words out of my mouth. I almost said the same one. Not much. What do you think happens when the rates go up to 6.85 to wealthy people? Keep saying it. It's like a choir. So when I realize all these basic business things, and I realize that I'm just going to go try to give away as much good information to wealthier people who own an above median price property, and I'm going to trust that universal marketing concept of giving away your best what to do information for free is going to make me wildly competitive. And guess what? It does. It turns out it's all true. We don't have to take. In fact, when I do an open house and somebody comes in and they don't sign in their agent, that means I have a chance to convert them. And I don't go after everybody because I watch their body language with me. Right? I'm like, okay, are they engaging me? I mean, I don't want to give you, I don't know what this cost us to make these days. I don't want to give you $6, $7 worth of product if you're not going to engage me. Right? I'm not desperate. I'm not going to take your business. You're going to be involved. I'm going to drop some conversation about the market update. I'm going to drop some pictures about what's selling. I'm going to drop some knowledge about this particular house. I'm going to see if you engage me. I'm going to ask you, how's the hunt going for your house? Right? Look down, no agent. Hey, by the way, to make this easier, I made a package of information. Let me tell you what's in here. How did they react to that? So there's no desperation here. There are actually too many people to do business with. And I try to preach that to myself every day. And I try to preach it to all of you. We feel a sense of desperation when we start because we always start something not knowing what we don't know. So we feel so insecure and undereducated. It's like desperate. You can hear it in the telemarketers. The latest one, Chrissy Poncel, who's doing the job for us over in Long Island, right? Well, she had a realtor, but she didn't really like the realtor enough to, right? That's that insecurity, as if there is no position of plenty. There are trillions of dollars that transact in this business. And if you truly believe that you've done all this work and you are better in your approach, you don't have to say it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Stop saying it. Just do it, because I have a plan. But Sally's done this. Great. I'm here to serve you with information. Let me just get through this. Then you can decide, right? But let me give this to you. Just do it. And stop trying to say these things that interfere with that delivery, that authentic person for others delivery, right? So that's what's wrong, Shauna. It's a tripping point because it's a belief system that I'm desperate for this. And it's subconscious, by the way. It's not, you don't walk around going, I'm desperate for business, but it is subconsciously there. Yeah. So practice at night. Go back to week 3. That self-image, psycho-cybernetics, mind steering systems. Yeah. And just sit in your easy chair at night, wherever you're relaxed, dim the lights before you go to bed, even if you're lying down a little bit, and say, I am a giver. I have a wildly unique selling proposition. Not everybody wants it from me, but the ones that really need it are desperate for me to show up. And I'm just going to give it to them expecting nothing in return. You repeat that over and over and over, you will reprogram your subconscious mind. Because right now your subconscious mind is telling you, oh, it sounds good when you listen to Danny, but that's Danny. You just got to take it. We're hungry. Go, right? It's a different voice. It's a subconscious has a voice to it. And Maltz makes a very strong case that you can reprogram that voice. But you have to practice it. You can't just say, oh, that was a good lecture the other day. No, okay, great. How many times did you lay in bed saying, I'm a giver? I make these packages and I give them to people. And those people appreciate me so much, it doesn't matter what my level of experience. They give me a chance to list their property. That's programming. Yep. But do them. You're familiar. But see, it's that step to action, right? That's where we get stuck. We do all this education. And again, I have to sell you, it's practical application. It actually works to make money. This isn't some, I don't want to knock Tony Robbins because I'm a fan, but this isn't some rah, thing I'm doing. This is actually what I do and how I did this. Look, I've told you this before on a personal investment level. I have, from time to time, in my desire to invest in real estate, driven by a building, say, I will own it. I will own it. The one I'm in right now. Laura was like, I don't want to be up here on Route 132 anymore. We should be in a village. We should be over in Osterville. And I started procrastinating a little bit. And then one day I'm like, nope, you're right. And I have a finance mentor, Brian Dacey, who's a developer. He's my hard money lender when I need him. And he's a good client, great friend, right? So I saw his model where he had a nice little office upstairs and he ran this machine out of it. I manifested it. Here I am, my little nest upstairs. Then I said, I'm going to own it. I'm going to own it. This building had been in the family since 1976. I'm going to own it. 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 I own it. I'm going to have a coffee shop downstairs. I'm going to have a coffee shop. There's a coffee shop downstairs, right? I don't know how it works, but it works. And by the way, I didn't always have the resources to do these deals. Same time I was driving by another building that my kids remark a lot of funny comments, but they go, oh my gosh, we grew up driving by that dump for years. And all of a sudden you own it and the lights are on and everything's painted and the thing is fully tenanted. I drove by every day. I said, I've got to be the one. I've got to be the one. I've got to be the one that fixes this corner. I've got to do this, right? So these two deals became very passion deals for me. Yes, they're very good real estate deals for me, but they're passion deals because I wanted to leave a positive footprint and I just programmed my subconscious mind and I just figured it out, right? Just figured it out. So it really has a very practical application to it. I teach my kids that. My twin boys are the last two. And, I was just coaching my daughter about she's making a job change. And we same thing. I was helping her program her subconscious mind to be the certain persona that wins the negotiation with this major company. So yeah, we in my world, with all of you hopefully too, we practice this stuff. This isn't some esoteric, like, we think everything we do strategically in this course gets manifested in tactics that turns into money. But you have to work at it. All right, what else? Anybody else? Shauna and I went off on a tangent there. You're welcome. Never. That's right, because we get flat-footed, right? We get flat-footed. That's when the champ gets knocked out because he starts leading with his chin, right? You always keep your feet underneath you in a fighting stance, no matter what it is, until you're done with the business, and then you move on. But you always keep your guard up, always. And you make that. I'm going to leave this with you though. You make that a game worth playing. That has to matter to you, right? If it matters to you, then it's always interesting. You can hear me when I do this teaching. I'm enthusiastic. This matters to me. I know I can change your life if you listen to me, right? So I keep that, but I always come into this course ready. Always. I'm looking for a new edge. I'm looking for a new angle. How will I say it simply better, right? And that's what business is. If you've ever heard the words for business, the terminology is going concern. It's a going concern. I love that because what it is, it reminds us to always be concerned, right? Always that you're going to trip up and fall in that business. Don't ever think you've arrived. Yeah. Yeah. Make sense? Cool. Yeah, good. I like it. I like that you picked up on that. That's a really good takeaway for you. Good for you. All right, gang. You're welcome. I'm gonna go. See you later at 7:56. I like to keep it under an hour. Appreciate all you that come live. A couple YouTubers out there tonight too. Appreciate you all. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome. YouTubers, thank you for jumping on there live. Appreciate you. Remember that you can always post a comment on YouTube and I will answer it there too. Okay? Thanks.